This is Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkle.
Welcome back to Inside the Wolf's Den with your host, Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkle. Today we have a special guest with us, Bill Lupo. How are you, Bill?
I'm doing well, Joni. Thank you for having me on today.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. You guys are all in for a treat. So just a quick bio on Bill. So Bill Lupo is the founder and CEO of Ubi Growth, an AI-powered platform that helps businesses scale meaningful conversations with their customers across voice, email, and SMS in any language and at any volume. With over 20 years of experience leading operations and growth across SaaS, fintech, and CRM companies, Bill has become a go-to expert for private equity and venture-backed businesses looking to scale smarter, not just faster. Throughout his career, Bill has helped businesses unlock serious gains in productivity, profitability, and EBITDA by building strong go-to-market strategies and tightening up operations. But more than just the numbers, he's passionate about helping founders and executive teams navigate the chaos of growth with clarity, purpose, and data-backed decisions. Outside of work, Bill's a proud husband to Vanessa. They've been married for 23 years and a dad to two incredible kids, Evan and Bella. He's also got two four-legged family members, Gizmo and Tuck, who keeps things interesting at home. Whether he's mentoring founders, building his company, or hanging with family, Bill brings energy, empathy, and a hard-earned experience to everything that he does. So again, guys, if you haven't heard, we've got an AI expert here with us today, which AI is just not just a buzzword. So if you're not using it in your business today, then if you're hiding under a rock, then, Bill is going to kind of break it down to us. And so, Bill, I kind of wanted to give a little bio on yourself, like what kind of brought you to this, and, give us a little bit of background on yourself.
That's an expansive question. A lot of stuff going on. So, my background, I started working for VC-backed companies, so venture capital, when I was young. I came out of school. I went to Chapman University in Orange County. That's where I met my wife, by the way. So Vanessa and I met in school. Not quite high school sweethearts, but college sweethearts.
Nice.
And that's where the story began. I thought I was going to become a lawyer, actually. So I got my degree in political science and law, and my dad was a lawyer. So I'm following the family business, and I'm like, man, that's boring. To be quite honest, I'm like, I don't see it. And then I made a transition. I was going to go work in finance, right? And I was like, whew, that's, suits all day and all the rest. But the internet was taking off, right? It was booming, right? So I got lucky, and I got hooked on with a company called shopping.com that got acquired by AltaVista. And AltaVista was the preeminent search engine to Google. And man, I fell in love immediately with technology. I truly did. And the way I was able to get in, because I wasn't a code writer, wasn't through sales. And so I got it. I was okay. Wasn't the greatest sales guy, but it was okay to keep my desk and keep moving through. And from that journey all the way through to where we're at now, I've been lucky and very fortunate to work in cutting edge technologies. And today, now the new thing, right, is we all hear AI, and it's all over the place and everything else. And I jumped on the bandwagon about 4 years ago when it came to AI, and I saw it coming, and I just got engrossed in it. And so it just made a whole lot of sense with Ubi Growth when I cycled out of my corporate jobs, so to speak, to take a run and do it myself. And as of last year and last summer, I jumped full time into Ubi Growth, and we've been scaling up ever since.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Can you, just in case there's any listeners, I know my mom probably wouldn't know that she listens to the show, but just explain what AI, she wouldn't know what AI is to a degree, but she's probably heard the word, but she wouldn't know. What is, just in case, and maybe this is too elementary.
So dumb it down.
Yeah, what is AI? And then can you explain what Ubi Growth does and how it helps people?
Sure. Hi to Sean's mom. The AI, in a nutshell, it makes things easier and faster for us, right? So when I speak to companies, depending on what they're looking to accomplish, it's not so much as to replace people, and I honestly believe this. It's just another new technology that's coming to the forefront now that allows us to work smarter and faster, not necessarily harder. So, for example, we moved in when we launched. It's specifically for people companies wanting to grow revenue. Right? Mm-hmm. protect revenue.
Right.
So you want to bring on more new customers and you want to protect the ones that you have. However, if you're an SMB or a middle market company, you can't afford to go out and hire a full-blown sales force and customer service and all the rest of it. What AI really will do for you with individual agents is it'll allow you to put a full-blown sales force in. So you can go out and versus going and hire 10, 20, 30, 40 people and hoping it works, you can test it with AI. And one agent in AI does the work of over 40 outbound salespeople. And simultaneously, if you're looking to grow your business, the next thing would be is like, wow, how do we maintain it all, right? Same AI, same agents, they sit in the background and they handle all the customer inquiries and everything else. And it handles it through voice, right? So it talks like normal people. It's called natural language processing. And then it also writes emails and SMS and everything else. And it knows your business, and our business is usually faster and better than we do.
Right.
And how we do that, it's really, they call it the knowledge base, Shawn. It's the brain. And we take all of the information from the business over the years and everything that everybody's ever done, everything from video to emails to any type of documentation, and we upload it into these knowledge bases. And those knowledge bases then categorize it. And then they know your business through and through. And then we use prompts on how to respond back to the people to make sure that they're not being rude and the like, and that they take care of your business as well as you, if not better. So from an SMB and a middle market perspective, it allows companies to scale. And allows companies to scale at unprecedented rates. So you can now compete with the big companies. You can compete with your competitors. And that and for UB Growth, that's where we move so fast into the market. Because in the next 3 to 5 years, with the economy that we're rolling into right now, candidly, I'm old enough to remember '08, right? Right now, a whole lot of it's going to be how do we do more with less?
Right.
How do we do it faster, better, and stronger? And a lot of that has to do with AI. And that's one of the levers. And it gives companies massive amounts of levers to be able to scale, grow, and retain.
That's awesome.
Love that.
And there's a lot of questions, but I have more. But I think you did a great job of explaining it. Because one of the things I hear a lot of is like AI will probably, get us out of, if we're not already in a recession or what I'm not going to argue that on the show, but whether we're in a recession or not, or the economy where it's at, it's like AI, some of the debt issues that we have in this country, the biggest hope is that AI will help us. When you make a big technology step, and like you said, where it makes us more efficient, able to do more with less, sometimes it gets us out of those financial times in our country that I think are, anyway, total side note. But talk about UB Growth. What does your business do? How does it help businesses? Like, give us like the high level of if I was a new customer, what could you do for me?
I would ask you what was important to you, Shawn. That's what we do. It's like, what are you looking to accomplish? And then we look for bespoke or off the truck technology that can actually help you with what you're going through. So for example, let's say you're a company that does recruiting and you get tons of applications that come in every day. However, you don't have enough people to handle them. We would be able to step in between and be able to help you with recruiting, right, and onboarding and so forth. Data entry, you have your people that are just plugging in numbers all day long and not really getting to the job. We would be able to help you with that. If you're looking to scale up and grow and bring on net new customers, we help along those lines as well. However, if you're a larger company that pretty much owns your market, own their own market, but they have all bunch of different systems that they use. Like a lot of companies have a lot of different pieces of software. We help plug them all together, and the AI helps them speak together as well. So from an efficiencies and scale perspective. So it depends on what folks are looking to accomplish.
That's interesting.
That's great.
And it's all AI powered, like you said. So finished products that you can utilize their technology, and then what levers or what things to pull from and then implement. Did I explain that right, or did I summarize that? Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. So most software now has APIs, right? So which means plugins where you can plug systems, and the systems can speak to each other. So we speak to the system. So for example, customer comes on, they already have a CRM. They're like, well, can you talk to our CRM? Yes, we can. They have a payroll system. Can you talk to our payroll system? 90% of the time, yeah, we can. Can you then help our accounting department? Can you then help us cut checks? Can you help us do all these functions and things for software that you may have in-house? It works with QuickBooks, for example. It will work with your outbound sales. It will help you be more efficient so that one is that you're not adding more people and headcount and all those other things like we used to do, but it also helps the systems in which you have run more efficiently. Furthermore, it also takes systems out of the mix. Like if you have a bunch of different types of softwares that are in a stack, it may replace a few of those and help you with some cost efficiencies as well.
That's right.
In a conversation we had earlier with another guest, he had talked about, one of the real big takeaways in property management. So one of our businesses is property management. He had expressed that when he did a real big market research, it came back that people still want to interact with people, right? Like, so they want a point of contact. If you're an investor, you're a homeowner, and you turn your property over to a property management company, you want to be able to call on Jane to answer your question about your property. How, in your opinion, and you have a lot of experience in tech, tell me like what your thoughts are on the balance between tech and, because I'm sure you have a system or something that could answer the phone, talk, sound like a human, but not a human. But when do you think like humans need to be involved? I guess is a
well, go ahead, because I'm curious of that too. Because you said something earlier too that it's not you're not necessarily replacing people, right? You are, this is in place to do it, faster and scale, right? So I think that you said there's a balance, but I'll let Bill talk about that.
Yeah. So great question, by the way. And there's a lot in there. They call it the human in the loop.
Okay.
Right. So they're normal. You have to have a human in the loop at some point where people need to like figure things out. And if you have, let's say, take property management, for example, somebody calls in. I know Sally. Sally's the one that helped me, and Sally's my person. I need to speak to Sally. AI can transfer to Sally. So Sally's still there. Right. However, what's really interesting, and I'll tell you a funny story. I'm not going to mention any names because he's going to watch this podcast. Friend of mine who's very close to what we do, and you two probably could figure this out right now, is moving, rented a new apartment, is going someplace else, and had been conversing with somebody through chat, through email, through voice, I believe, and so forth, and asked for that person when they got to the property, only to find out that person wasn't really a person, it was AI. But when they got there, they were people, right? So he got to speak to the people and so forth in the office, and it blew his mind, right? Because at the end of the day, what's the difference if you're emailing and you're SMSing, and we do so much now anyway, right now, think of it this way. I'm sitting in Frisco, Texas. You guys are in Houston, and we're communicating over Zoom. This is Jetson stuff, right? If you guys are old enough to remember the Jetsons. And you go back 10 years from now, people have been like, no, we need to do a conference call. This isn't going to work, right? Now, here we are at a point where AI is doing a lot of these other functions that we do that really, candidly, we don't need to do anymore, a lot of them. And it allows us to do more human interaction, people on people meeting people talking to people, and connecting on those levels. Some of this stuff in the tech that's out there is going to allow us, I believe, to connect even more than we currently are. To what end that's going to be, I don't know. And candidly, I'm concerned as how far are we going to actually take this? And to what end is it going to go? I can't answer for the government or whatever else, but I could just tell you from business to business and stuff like that, it allows us to connect a little bit more. I can now get out and see my customers versus sitting in front of my email.
Makes total sense. Yeah. So Bill, what would you, for the business owners that are listening to this podcast and maybe they're, they've heard the term AI and they're kind of playing around with it, but they're not sure of it. Like, what advice would you give for them, how to implement it in their business, or even to maybe, test it out a bit?
I would recommend, depending on the type of business that they're in, to test it. And here's why, is that in 3 to 5 years from now, it's not going to be a thing. It's going to be the mandatory. Right. And so I'll give you the example. When I very first started at Alta Vista, like we mentioned earlier, what we were doing was speaking to companies about moving from paper to online. And some of my customers were Kmart and J.C. Penney's, which we do remember who they were, right?
Right.
Esprit, which was an old brand that I think you guys may remember as well.
Yeah.
And they were struggling with, what does this whole online thing mean? I don't know. I think it might be a fad. Okay. Now think about those companies I just named. Now we have Amazon and Walmart.com,
Right.
and Nordstrom, which is doing billions of dollars a year online. So the other part was with small business owners. I moved into that division, and it was very difficult telling people that potentially the yellow pages aren't going to be here in 10 years from now. And people were telling me I was crazy. You're crazy. The yellow pages aren't going away. Well, when was the last time you got a phone book on your doorstep? It's been a while. So it's another thing that's changing, and it has people in fear of what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. My point being is that it's not going away. It's already here. And if you're in business and you want to make sure you remain competitive, that you should embrace the new technologies that are coming. And today it's AI. Mm-hmm. And so that in 3 years from now, you're not thinking, wow, I should have done that 3 years ago. With any major decision, you should test it. You should, versus just sitting on your hands and thinking about it, go out and do some research, find out more about it, see how it could potentially impact your business, and then make the leap and give it a shot and see how it works for you. It's never going to be perfect in the beginning. It's never going to operate exactly like you want it to. But if you give it time and you let it build in, eventually 3 years from now, you'll be like, wow, yeah, of course, we use AI, whatever that may be. It's a very broad term, but
right.
I would suggest people, I'm an evangelist. Learn it now. Make sure your kids are involved. Things are changing fast. The cycles for AI are changing faster than anything I have ever seen. Mm-hmm. And that's good, and it's scary.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? So embrace it. Get into it, because we don't know how fast this train's going to move. For example, we use now two-way video, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody could sit on a podcast talking to you right now, and it could be a likeness of me. So
it's freaky.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's a trip, and it's wild stuff. So that technology is less than 6 months old.
Yeah.
Previous to that, it was all about voice, right? So it's just changing so fast that you got to start bringing it into your business. But the other thing with it is the tech is changing so fast. You have to be nimble and be willing to move with it and test and try and test and try.
Right. Point is, it's here. It's staying here. So if you want to have that competitive edge, you need to try it out. Get with it, right?
Yeah, implement it. Can you explain from your experience in working with different businesses, what are some of the, I guess, pitfalls or where people have either made mistakes using AI or scaling? Those are broader terms, but I guess just some common pitfalls trying to implement technology into their business like this, and what can people avoid, and then maybe what's some best practices?
Yeah, that's good, but really good points, both of them. The first one is going too fast. I'm going to do everything, right? And I recommend not. Right? Pick a pain point in your business right now, one, and then try to master that one thing and see if it works for it, and then start to broaden out a little bit. What will happen is that we'll get use cases that will come through, and they'll be like, here's all of our pain. We want to fix it all. And it's like, let's work on the one thing. It's like the Pareto theory, 80-20. It's 20% of the things that are moving 80% of the problems, right? Try to focus down on whatever that 20% of your pain is, of what's going on or you want to fix, because that'll probably move 80% of your business, or it'll change 80% of the problems, versus going the other way. Inevitably, what will happen is that I have all these things going on. I'm super busy. I'm doing everything in my business. I'm emptying trash cans and building doors and talking to customers. I need to get rid of all of it. Yeah. I would take a breath and say, hold on, what are the real things that should help me to be able to really move my business forward, and just focus on that, and then become an expert at that one thing or two things, and then broaden out after it. The pitfalls are when people step in and they want to try to absorb all of this stuff at the same time. Like we keep saying, AI is a very broad term. Like when I was talking earlier, it's like I could do all of this stuff. my recommendation is that where I see companies fall down, big and small, by the way, because I come out of big companies, right? Big companies and small, is that they try to do everything and inevitably what happens is it slows the process down to a point where people become frustrated when they walk away from it.
Yeah.
And walk away from it 3 years from now, like I said earlier, where are you going to be versus becoming 1% better every day and just doing it very slow and bringing it into your business.
Yeah. I know you've probably done some amazing things within your company and some of the tech companies you work for. Just like for our listeners, perspective on kind of where we've started to implement it, like you're mentioning, slowly and methodically, I guess, is like in the property management space, we've done, I know one of our softwares for, like a work order comes in, right? And the tenant submits a work order, and AI is troubleshooting that, right? So it's asking questions, trying to make sure number one, is it really a plumbing issue or is it an electrical issue? And then it's making sure that answers is there. And this is something that we used to have humans in our office do, and then we went to VAs and virtual assistants. So people in Mexico or the Philippines were doing this, and then now AI is doing it, and they're troubleshooting, and then it gets dispatched to the correct vendor. And then we've done some stuff on leasing. I know that a lot of the leasing questions can be answered through AI, where you can like, hey, how much is this apartment for rent, and what's your screening criteria? And AI is answering those questions based upon the information from our system. Mm-hmm. I think the next evolution for us, which I'm sure you could help us do this, but would be the answering the phone, right? So like, it's kind of cool because I saw a live demo for a property management company. It was a AI bot that when you answer, and it was having a whole conversation on like a person on the phone when they call in, and it was figuring out where to route that call or answered some questions, and it was just amazing where it's headed. It's just scary, like you said at the same time, but it was and even on the hiring process, mm-hmm. we're utilizing it within our hiring. So like when because it's everything's so about, especially with the younger generation, like the speed of getting back with them, right? So when they submit when they submit the resume to our company on a job ad, or there's an AI bot having a whole conversation with them. It's amazing. I'll watch the thread of these people, and they'll have a whole conversation about the job, and they think they're talking to a live person, and then it automatically schedules it for whoever the manager is to have the interview, phone interview with that person. But it's an AI bot scheduling all. And then it does all the follow up for that person. Like, hey, you have your interview tomorrow at noon, and then your interview's now in an hour, and so it's constantly reminding. But I think it's just phenomenal what it could, and it does make us more efficient. So anyway, I just wanted to share where we're utilizing.
Yeah, and I loved how you said, Bill, because I think business owners in general, they want to try to fix everything all at once, right? Like they know that they have all these issues in their business, and they want to try to fix it all. Where you can't. I mean, you have to focus on your pain point areas and really get good at that, like you said, and then move on to the next, right? And so for the business owners that are listening to this, that is like gold right there, because you can't take it all at once. Right? There's always going to be problems in your business. When we grew from 50 doors to 100 doors, and then from 100 doors to 300 doors, you have different problems. And that's just the reality of it. So, where I'm going with this is I think that for Shawn and I, we've always had coaches, we've had mentors, right? Kind of guiding us along the way. And I think where this AI is headed in this new era, you need to get a coach and a mentor, somebody like you that understands AI and how it works, right? And to kind of gear them or point them in the right direction of where they need to head. So I don't know if this is something that you do, Bill, but having a coach and mentor is crucial, has been crucial for us. And what are your thoughts on that?
I love talking to people about stuff. You can't tell, right? And helping anywhere, any which way that somebody believes that I can help, because that is a two-way street, by the way. And so though people will say the mentor-mentee relationship or whatever that may be, I'm always open, right? So what I'll do is I give out my cell number, but it's the easiest way to get a hold of me, believe it or not. And it's like, text me and I'll come right back to you. But yeah, I love working with people. If people just want to call in and say, hey, what do you think about something else? Or they want to schedule some time or it's just through an email and they have some general questions, love to help. And if I don't know, I'm going to probably open the gate up to somebody else who may be really good and fit for that space or that spot. But yeah, I'd love to, by the way. Because the more conversation you have, the more people you talk to, it's amazing how much smarter everybody gets.
Right. Totally.
Keep all this stuff bottled up all the time and you're only one thing you know everything, you're probably not the right person, if that makes sense, for the fit of the job. So yeah, I love talking to people, always open to conversations. I'm easily found, by the way. If you just go to if anyone on here is watching this and you want to talk about how this stuff works, just go to our site, ping the site, it'll come back, it'll schedule an appointment like Shawn was just talking about, or however else you want to do it, or you can just contact me directly and I'll come right back to you. I will. But not just about this. It could be about anything. Like my background scale, and I know it's a broad definition, and I love your number of, we went from 10 doors to 100 doors to 300 doors. The the math behind that is bananas, and people wouldn't understand it. Like they would think, what's the difference between 20 doors and 300? Well, a whole lot.
Yeah, a whole lot of pain. Just kidding.
So I'll give you an example. When I was younger and at Web Visible, so this is back in the early 2000s, and Salesforce was a big deal, right? So we had a CRM was a big deal. We had to hire approximately 300 salespeople to do 5,000 net new transactions a month, right? So we're onboarding small business owners, bringing them from the yellow pages to online, right? We needed hundreds and hundreds of people. Spin that forward from when I was at Solera, where we're using different types of tech, we needed about 100. Went to Blackhawk, we needed about 50, and it was global. Right. So from a technology perspective, that's what really changed all those businesses. That the tech that we're using, and it wasn't the amount of people in the companies, it was really dependent upon what they were actually doing. We just didn't need so many salespeople. We needed more people in operations. We needed more people doing other things, but we were able to scale at rates that were unprecedented. And a lot of that is what's going on with AI. But the other part of it is it's not like a magic bullet. You just don't drop in, like you're saying earlier, and just push the button and the AI stuff just starts working. And next thing you know, everyone's a gazillionaire. If you're reading that stuff on TechCrunch or on LinkedIn or the rest, right? There are people that are specialized, and I think that is the next generation of job growth, right? It's people that are going to be specialized in AI and all these tools and development. And another risk, and you had brought this up earlier and I didn't get back to it, was that when you're using these tools and you're building them, make sure that you're building and you're using them not to make more work for everybody else. Because if you're building them and you're using them based upon old premise and models and business standards, what you're inevitably probably doing is rebuilding the same environment you're in now, and you're going to have a lot of the same issues. And that's why you move slow, like what you're talking about.
Yeah. That's a good point there.
How have you in the past done that effectively? So how do you look at it with a new perspective? How do you try to see it? Is there any methodology to approaching that?
No, we just throw spaghetti at the wall.
Test and measures.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. There's a lot to it. That's why you keep it small, be comfortable with data.
Okay.
Become really comfortable with data. So if you think about what your outcome is going to be and what that one thing that you're focused on, what are the key drivers in there that are going to get you to that, right? What are those metrics that are going to get you to what you're looking to accomplish? Then measure those metrics, right? The last part is when you're measuring those metrics and you're watching at those key drivers, be open to other types of data that may be coming in. Allow AI to come back to you and say, I know you've been looking at the following, however, this may be interesting to you. Where people have to get really comfortable here is they're going to have to get used to data, because you're not dealing with a physical employee anymore. You're watching conversion rates. You're sitting, it's funny, you're talking about watching the chats go through. I'll say if they're X or millenniums, they probably already know they're dealing with an AI and they prefer it. Right?
Yeah.
Right, but you want to make sure that it's working right. So that level of detail for the size of the companies that you guys run and the amount of work that you do, that you're still stopping and taking a look and diving down into the details and make sure it's running properly. That's what's needed. It's a different mindset. So you're not dealing with employees walking around to everybody's desks. However, you should be prepared to whip open your laptop and make sure everything is functioning granularly all the way down the chain, that it's functioning properly for your company, and that the metrics, the drivers, and the data is all aligned. And that's the foundation of what we do. And so if you're comfortable doing that, then you move on to the next thing.
Awesome.
Makes sense.
You were talking about some of the dangers earlier, especially like AI and stuff. That's good. I always do this. I always do 2 questions at one time. So and
I should have prepared you, Bill.
I gotta learn to I think I get it. I think I get too excited. So what I want to know, like where are we headed? And I know that's very broad and technology changes. So, but I mean, let's just say in the next 6 months, a year, where do you think things are headed? And you can even expand that horizon if you feel comfortable doing it. But, and then talk to some of the dangers of where, and I'll stop there and let you just explain. And then I have some follow-up questions about dangers with the AI and maybe government intervention and stuff. Your opinion on that, but.
I'm going to be careful on the government intervention. If they don't show them my door here.
Right? Leave that part out, Shawn.
But let's see. I think in particular for small businesses, right, that we deal with, we deal with mid-market and down. And a small business, for those who don't know, is less than 100 employees, right? So that's a very broad term.
Yeah.
Where I think this is going, it's allowing there's a paradigm shift here. And where it's allowing the competitive landscape to be pretty much dissolved, right? Where big companies were able to dominate markets and take over markets and really run them, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about like a regional local, I don't want to mention too many names on here, right? But you take a regional local, big players in there, they start buying up a few smaller players, and the next thing you know, nobody's in the market. Home Depot goes up one day, buys up Ace Hardware, whoever, and they're gone, right? What's happening now with those that can leverage technology and they're smart about it and they move fast, but they move accurately, so smart and accurately, they're going to be able to compete, and not just compete locally, compete globally if they want to.
Right.
AI, right, and the voice stuff you were talking about earlier, 124 languages, and 1,800 simultaneous conversations at the same time. It's crazy when you start thinking about this stuff, right? So yeah, could I pick up a customer in Singapore now? Yes. Could I pick up a customer in the UK? Could I go to Sydney? Yes. Can I go to Montreal? Yes. Can I speak French Canadian? I can now. Can I speak multiple? No, my wife is Mexican. She speaks Spanish, right? Can I speak Spanish now? Sure. When I open up OpenAI and she's talking to me, it actually talks back to me. So yeah, now I can speak Spanish. And I'm joking, right? I'm being a little flippant. But the truth is that if your mind is expansive and you want to scale, oh man, you can. If you just want to dominate your local market into what you're doing, you can. If you want to provide the best customer service you possibly can, if you're a pool cleaner or a local plumber or a roofing company and so forth, you're going to be able to now without worrying about somebody else stepping in and buying your entire customer base and buying up the market because they can buy more ads than you. So that's where I think it's going. In short, the technology that used to only be available to the large enterprises, the Googles, the Oracle, and I don't want to get too. I can say I'm on a soapbox a bit right now. Those that they used to be available to like the Googles, the Microsofts, the Oracles of the world, the really big players. Name the big players in your space. No longer, it's available to the 2 guys in a truck, all the way up, right? And so that paradigm shift is something we've never seen. And that's what I think is coming for those that are in early, where I think, eventually where all this is going to, the stuff that I've read on it is that over the next, if this is right, now I'm going to be a little bit of a futurist.
Have you had a crystal ball, Bill?
Yeah, don't save this, okay? Is that over the next 20 years, there's going to be a massive amount of job creation. And the reason being is that we're going to have to lay new fiber and pipes and all kinds of stuff. Think about when the internet first took off and we only had dial-up and it was AOL. I don't know if anyone here remembers AOL. And then it was, oh my gosh, we got to go to broadband, right? And all those job creations that were in there. And then it was, oh, we're going to this whole wireless thing where you could buy on your phone. Remember that? Right? That's never going to happen. And then wireless kicks off and all of us are shopping on our phones now, right? But all of that takes massive amounts of infrastructure globally, right? So when this shift continues to go, it's going to there's going to be a massive amount of job creation. What happens 20 years after that? Who knows? Is it WALL-E? Have you guys ever seen WALL-E where we're sitting around chilling all day, just sipping on sippy cups? But for the now and for the now, it's exciting. Yeah. It's extremely exciting to be in this.
Yeah.
What about some of the threats? So like, you mentioned earlier, AI can have a full conversation. I saw somewhere like where the scary part is like, say my grandmother, because my mom, we'll go back to my mom, and some thief, right, uses AI to emulate my voice, right, really quickly. Even a video call, it could be me, right, and talking to her and say, hey, I need $10,000 wired. That's kind of stuff is capable, correct? So like, how do we? Is that, or let's just say elections, right, where you have, so people are so used to just scrolling through and seeing things, and you think it's all real because it's on the internet. But you have politicians saying things that wasn't even a politician, right? It was an AI generated thing. I guess what are some of the threats? Do you see a threat with that kind of stuff, or?
Massive.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if stuff can be used for good, it can be used for evil.
Right.
Correct.
Right. And if it can be used for evil, it's good. That's all they do for a living. Right. So there's bad guys and there's good guys. The bad guys have probably access to more stuff than we do. Right. So my recommendation to everybody is don't believe everything you read.
Correct.
Definitely don't believe everything you see and hear. Right. Especially on the internet at this point. The other part is I'll put a pin in that because definitely the government's showing up at this point. But the other thing is that if you have to be vigilant now. Mm-hmm. You think that somebody on the other side of the phone, because they had your number and the number shows up, it's mom? No. Make sure that you hang up the phone and go do your research. Go double down. Call mom back.
Correct.
Go try to find somebody else. But yes, there's a lot of crime going on right now with people using likeness, or we used to call them deep fakes, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy now, Shawn, and that if you sent me 20 screenshots of you, but I bet you I could go online. You guys are right?
Yeah.
20 screenshots of you guys. Now I have your voice because we're sitting on here right now. A criminal could use all that and replicate you. They could replicate me now. They could replicate anybody, so you have to be very careful. And in regards to protecting your business or protecting your livelihood and all the rest of it, you have to keep an eye out for what is going on in and around you. And if you think something doesn't sound right, it probably isn't. Mm-hmm. Double check, double down, go get your facts.
Yeah.
Right.
We've had a really high, in the property management industry, really high application theft or appliation fraud.
Fraudulent, yeah.
So just fraudulent applications. So like, just bogus people that had really bad credit and bad records and stuff like that using, and it's amazing how sophisticated it's getting, as far as, implement with the bank statements, paycheck stubs, and you really got to go old school and like pick up the phone and call really that employer and not the number they gave you, but the number, Google. Mm-hmm. And so there's just a lot of stuff that we're having to do just to protect the owners. And
I mean, to Bill's point, you have to, be careful, all these things. But on the other side, it's really exciting. And as Bill's talking about it, I'm excited, because we just started exploring this the last couple years or so, and it's getting exciting. So if you're not utilizing it, maybe not being effective with it, now it's time.
Yeah.
Right. It's time to be effective with it. So, Bill, kind of give us one question we do ask all of our guests on the show is, what's your next? What are you looking to accomplish maybe in the next 5 years or so?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. But Shawn, let me go back to really quick.
Yeah,
sure.
I want to keep beating this negative horse to death.
Go for it. Well, because my question was like with the government thing was, do you as being a business owner in that space, do you feel like the government needs to protect us? You know, because I don't want to call people stupid, but to step in because of when does the government need to step in and protect, I guess, the citizens because this is going to be too powerful for them? And do you think that's the case, or do you think we need to be entrepreneurial and let it just take its course, because that's what's always got us advanced in the world? That's where I was headed with it. And being that would be a threat to, I would assume, to your business, having the government step in and regulate what you can and cannot do. But anyway, that was where I was headed with it.
Look, I think the government was, I'm not a big government guy. I'm going to be honest with you, right? However, I think the government was too slow in stepping in on putting guardrails around the internet. Right?
True.
I have kids. You guys have kids and stuff like that. People can reach out to our kids at any given time through an Xbox or a Snap or whatever it may be.
Correct.
Yeah, that's so true.
Right, but you can't advertise cigarettes and alcohol on TV, but on Snap and stuff. I mean, TikTok. I mean, you see everything.
Everything goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? So I do think that some type of regulation is going to have to come here at some point. I'm with you when you're launching new businesses and technology and so forth. You got to keep the guardrails off a little bit. But yes, do we need some guardrails to protect people? Absolutely. And I think a lot of that's also educating people, not just saying AI is great. AI is the new thing, and then hyping everybody up, and they're putting these massive data centers into Texas and all over the world, and how America's going to run. We're going to run and be the AI at the AI forefront. Part of it has to be from a citizen perspective, a taxpayer. We should be educating people on what this means, what the potential changes could be, what could potentially happen, how could you be impacted by it, not only good, but also what the threats could potentially be. And I haven't seen much on the education piece. Does that impact my business? No, I don't see why it would impact my business, right? We do what we do, which is right. We're not, and if it did, and it was the betterment of all and for the greater good, so be it. So be it, man. I mean, because it's not just about me and mine. It's about us and all of us together. And I think if we can all have that mindset of it's all of us together and we're all in this together, then yeah, a little regulation wouldn't hurt. And definitely we need some education, man. I mean, right? I'm sorry, I know I digressed.
No, that's good.
No,
that's
that was
good.
awesome.
That's good. You answered my question. So, but yeah, we would love to hear what you have coming up down the road. What maybe a project you're working on or you're excited about.
Yeah, we have some things going on that I can't talk about.
Ooh.
We are moving into a direction where we're going to do a bit of a roll-up, right? So, my background's private equity. And what does private equity do? They gobble up the world, right? And they do all kinds of crazy stuff. So we're looking at doing some acquisitions, which are coming up now. In particular, companies that are service-based and or non-technical, so to speak, to be able to bring our technology into them and so forth and speed things up and increase margins. So we're going to scale a little bit along that road. So that's extremely exciting to me. A couple of projects we're working on now are really that two-way video stuff. And it's I know I have a little bit of a lag. If you guys could see it on my face right now, I'm like super stoked on the AI video stuff that's coming. Like it reminds me, I watched the Jetsons growing up. I know I used it. I'm 54 years old, by the way, so I've seen a lot, right? And I remember cartoons when they were cartoons, right? So the Jetsons, they used to talk to each other over the TV, right? And so it's kind of like what we're doing right now. But what's coming next with this two-way video stuff is we're going to be talking to television commercials. Wow. TV commercials are going to be talking to us. And it's going to be targeted down to the person, right? So we run campaigns now, for example, that run and they'll come to you and say, "Hey, Joni, it's Bill over here at Ubi Growth. I saw that you were looking at such and such and such. Are you still interested in that? Did you know we have other things?" And speaking directly to you.
Wow.
Think about how it's
That's nuts.
It's nuts, right? Or Shawn, "Hey, Shawn, I saw you were over here and you dropped onto our site and you were looking at the following. And you know what? Let me give you, not me just sending you a coupon through email or something like that. I'm actually talking to you over your phone, over a TV, over a laptop, but specifically to you because I know you more one-on-one." That stuff is incredibly exciting. incredibly exciting, and we're now doing it. So from like conversion rates and stuff like that, blows everything else out of the water.
I better watch what I start surfing. I'll be sitting there with my mom on the couch, and it'll be. I'm just joking.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's
that's the danger.
There's the danger. But from a B2B perspective, right? It's everything that we thought. The models that I was trained on. All the stuff that we remember. What's a click-through rate, right? What's a this? What's a that? What's a true margin in a company, right? What's EBITDA? What's all of these things? Those days, we're blowing all those models out.
Yeah.
There are AI companies right now with less than 10 employees that are doing $100 million.
Wow.
How do you value this, right? And then they're not even measuring on click-through rates anymore. Because the conversion rates are so high. And then it's no longer how many phone calls did you make today, son? Did you make like when I started in sales, it was like, you got to make that 100 phone calls a day. Now it's like these machines are calling tens of thousands of people at a time, right? So everything is changing so fast. That that is the part that I'm super excited about, is that it truly is a new frontier. It feels like when I first got into the internet in '99. Remember, everything was new. Like, wow, you could just click a button and this website comes up. I mean, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
You first had to dial tone.
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden you get online. To me, what's coming, what we're working on, really what gets me out of bed every day is just everything it feels fresh and new again.
Yep.
And the projects that we're working on are new things that haven't been done, net new frontiers. And we don't get to do that anymore. Yeah. There's no more ground to find. There's no more land to conquer. There's no more of that stuff. But the stuff that we're working on now is truly groundbreaking and changing.
Yeah.
And it's exciting.
I love that.
Well, you certainly got me excited. I'm sure Shawn as well. Bill, how can our listeners here, if they want to get a hold of you and learn more about what you have to offer, how can they get a hold of you?
Certainly. So if you go to our website, it's Ubi Growth, and it's hard to explain this, so I'm going to spell it. And I probably got to change the name, you guys, but it's UBI Growth. So
awesome.
UBIGROWTH.com. If you come to our website, you'll be able to get a hold of me. You'll be able to find us and stuff like that. If you want to email me, I'll give you guys my email, bill@ubigrowth.com. Shoot me an email directly. I'll come right back to you, and it won't be AI responsive.
It'll be a bot. No. So we'll pull all that in the show notes. So there'll be links to your company and as well as your email address. So we appreciate that. But thank you for joining us. If there's anything we can ever do for you, please let us know. But thanks again for joining us today.
All right. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah. Likewise to you guys. I don't know if this was, but we were buffering the whole time. It's pouring here, but I really do appreciate you guys having me on today.
This was amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
And if there's anything I can ever do for you outside of business, by the way, if you have questions and how things are going or what I think is going on, I don't care what it is. Feel free to reach out anytime. I promise I won't sales pitch you. It's just, okay, I promise. It's just, just to keep the door open. I'm always available. Okay. And I'm happy. And I'll drop into the email, my cell phone number. If you guys ever want to text me, you're thinking about something may have come up, I'm happy to come back to you. And I'm greatly appreciative today if I haven't already said that 10 times.
Thank you.
Love it. Well, we appreciate you. And again, thank you so much.
Yeah. So again, listeners, if you like this show, please share it. If you want to learn more about AI, please reach out to Bill, and we'll see you all next week.
See you, everyone.
You've been listening to Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkle. Tons of entrepreneurial podcasts are out there. Talking. But Joni and Shawn are living it every single day. Their portfolio now includes many franchises and medium-sized businesses. We talk about the trials and motivators of successfully running a business. Join us again soon for another podcast. But until then, reach out on the website at InsideTheWolfsDen.com, on Facebook at Inside the Wolf's Den, on Instagram at Inside the Wolf Den. We'll see you again soon. This is Inside the Wolf's Den. We'll see you next time.